Now listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth. Right now.
Ooh.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody. Showtime.
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
It's 4:07 in the afternoon on the 15th day of September in the Lord's year 2016, the third millennium for our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We're glad you're here today. My name's J. Michael McCoy, and if I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. I love this job. Couldn't do it without you. I don't understand how God blessed me with such an awesome job. I don't work for a living. I play. I get to talk about Jesus. I get to do Bible studies. I get to learn about businesses and learn about missions and learn about ministry. Oh, and I get paid to do it. Not a lot, of course, because Chris Roloff is really cheap. But, you know, it's enough to keep Picasso and Moses in dog food. All right, so this is a cool thing. So I'm at my church 3 months ago, and we're having a big to-do. I don't remember. Wasn't it the speakers? It's the Willow Creek Conference. And I walk by this young lady, and she says, "Hey, you want to buy some insurance, dude?" And I said, "No, leave me alone." And then I turned her into the police, and then she called and asked me to bail her out. So I did, feeling guilty. And I come to find out that she is a really neat young lady from our community. And so I brought her in and 3 of her colleagues to talk about church insurance. I know. You were hoping we were going to talk about something sexy or something political, or we were going to give Frank something he could scream about all day. But I think it's important that we understand how our church, not the church, you are the church, the building, the brick and mortar, how they're insured, how they take care, how this company takes care of churches. And there's a good chance these guys might insure your church. I didn't know this when I asked Sarah to come on and put this together, but they insure hope. So I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any questions, you can call them in. Now, I don't have Bob Montserrat or the Cat in the Hat or the Service Legends Truth text line, because Frank is inept, and when Bob's gone, what are you going to do over there? You don't have a computer in front of you to look up stuff.
You took my computer home, remember? You're going to bring it back.
I don't know. I've been listening to Matt Chandler in the middle of the night when I wake up and I can't sleep, so it's kind of nice having that little laptop back. So if you want to say something, you could Facebook me. You can immediate message or private message on Facebook, or you could call Jebediah at 244-0077. And if you don't want to be on the air, you can just give him your question and he'll write it down. But you might have questions about your church and how it's being insured and if they insure it. Now, Sarah, would you know off the top of your head every single church that you insure within a 100-mile radius? No. Well, what did we bring her along for then? These guys do? Somebody does? Well, so if you want to know if you're insured by these guys, and if they were insured, if you're insured by these guys, you're insured, by the American Church Group of Iowa, Nebraska. And the product is Brotherhood Mutual. Did I get that right, Terry?
Correct.
All right, so Terry Townsend is what? I didn't write down your title. What's your title, Terry?
I'm manager owner of the agency.
Manager owner. Okay. And then we have Mark Parmalee.
Matt Parmalee.
Or Matt, sorry. And you are from the home office.
I am. I'm risk strategy specialist. I work in loss control.
Strategy specialist.
Yes.
Loss control. I want to hear about that. Strategy specialist. And I do want to add, because I'm going to ask you some questions about this. You were a youth pastor, is that right, at Rick Warren's church?
Nope, I was the director of campus operations.
Oh, I know who you are. I see. So is he your boss, Terry?
We work together, I would say. He represents the company. He came out to Iowa to do a...
Terry, forget it. He's your boss. You're trying to play this. Just admit. And Ed Hansen. Ed, what is your title?
I'm one of the agents with American Church Group and partial owner in the agency as well.
Okay. And Sarah Ostronsky. Did I say that right? No, I didn't get it right. Hold on. Ostransky. Yep. And you're an agent too also, correct? No. Oh, no. Oh, no. You're a who?
No, don't say that.
What are you then?
I'm a ministry relations person.
Ministry relation specialist. You're an agent, right? I mean, that's just a fancy word. It's like, no. So my assistant, Jill, I just don't like the term assistant. I despise the term secretary because I think that's just a bad thing to say. And executive assistant, I don't know what that means. So my assistant, Jill, is a, what's that word she likes to be called?
Superstar?
No, she's a, not interpreter, integrator.
Oh.
Integrator. Because she takes what I want done and most of the time tells me no. And if she says yes, then she integrates it.
We call Sarah our foot in the door person, so she helps us to just build a relationship and
so she
get to know a
generates
person.
Leads.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you're not even up to an agent yet. You're just out there beating the doors. Not never. Okay. So, welcome. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you all for trusting me. I promise you're going to enjoy this. And you're going to educate my listeners on what it is you guys do, and most importantly, why you do it. So, Matt, I'll start with you. What's the most important thing that you want a prospective or a current client to know about Brotherhood Mutual?
Well, I think with Brotherhood Mutuals, we want them to know that we understand why. I mean, most of the people, I came from a church background. I grew up as an MK in Australia. I grew up as a pastor's kid in Kansas City. So we want people to listen, everybody to understand that we understand ministry. We understand why, and we want to partner with you to come alongside with you. You're not just a number to Brotherhood Mutual. You actually are a customer.
Now, you said MK in Australia?
Missionary kid.
Oh, a missionary kid. Oh, cool. Because I was going to say, you don't talk like you're going to put shrimp on the bobby.
Nah, I lost that. Yeah.
Did you lose it? Really?
I did. Yes.
Wow. Okay. All right. And so let's go to the agency level. Mm-hmm. And what is it that you'd want a prospective client or current client to know about the most important thing to you?
Well, we understand. Our motto is advancing the kingdom by serving the church, and really we are here to serve. Insurance is like a necessary evil. You almost have to have it in this day of loss. It'd be very hard to take up a love offering to replace a $3 million building that burned to the ground. And if you get sued for something, that's big bucks as well. So we are a team to assist the church in protecting it, and we want to serve the church. We want to help the church with their coverages, with their service, with their understanding, their policies and procedures, and just be a blessing to them.
And you're a former pastor?
Correct. I was a youth pastor for 5 years and a senior pastor for 15. So I view this as my ministry, not just as my vocation.
Okay. All right. And yeah. Okay. But you're still a pastor, right? Or no?
Well, I don't...
Once a pastor, always a pastor?
Well, I feel like I have a pastor's heart for people and for ministry and want to help the churches that
But you don't run to the hospital in the middle of the night when somebody gets hurt?
No.
Okay. Frank?
I'm guessing liability insurance is part of this, I assume. Now, there's a hot new craze going on of people showing up on church properties searching for a Pokemon. So I assume that this type of insurance would protect a church if somebody, vandalizes or somebody gets hurt in the process. They fall in the bushes and they trip over something and they do a face plant into something. That church will be protected.
Exactly. That's our liability coverage. And for any property that the church owns or any land that they own, if anything bad happens on that and they're brought into a situation where they have been negligent or responsible or the people claim that they're responsible, then we have medical pay liability built into our policies, which provides some medical expense to help people as well as liability coverages.
Now, do you suggest a minimum? I mean, is there a range of coverages that you can take, like liability and auto insurance?
Correct. Yeah, there are.
Is what would be the mitigating risks that would potentially need a church to carry something more than normal?
Well, we have a minimum of $1 million general liability on all of our policies. That's our agency standard because it's nothing in this litigious society for a church to be sued. And then we also provide in a range of $5,000 or $10,000, or it could be a higher medical pay liability, which is secondary. We don't provide health insurance for everybody that hurts themselves on church property, but if the church is responsible in some way, and it's shown to be true, then we have that available to help.
All right, we're going to take our first break, and my guess is, Matt Parmalee, that's where you come in with what Terry just said about helping people and making sure that the claim is correct, but that the claim is not fraudulent in any way.
No, my job is in loss control is to help churches reduce their risk, give them tools to reduce their risk.
So, would risk manager be kind of something that would fall under your
correct
purview?
All right, good. All right, so I've got the folks from the American Church Group, Iowa and Nebraska. Very rarely are those two states ever said in the same sentence, but we're going to do it today because that's what the American Church Group is. They serve both Iowa and Nebraska, and they exclusively represent Brotherhood Mutual. If you've got questions about insurance for your church, if you're a pastor and you have questions, maybe you're just a member and you don't think things are working right upstairs, so you want to ask some questions, here's your chance, live on The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
All right, 21 minutes after 3/3/21 on 15th day of September. Middle of September. We're almost in the fourth quarter. Pretty soon we'll be able to say, 21 days till Christmas. You know what I'm going to do this year? I'm going to do something that I love doing, but I always forget, and I'm going to do a 12 days of Christmas. But if I understand it correctly, if I'm going to get this theologically correct, Frank,
okay,
the 12 days of Christmas actually start on the 26th. Is that right? It's not 12 days prior? Or do you even know?
I don't know.
Come on. You're supposed to know this stuff. If anybody knows the answer to that, I'd appreciate the answer, because I always thought it was, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 1. Oh, Merry Christmas. But last year, somebody said that the 12 days of Christmas are actually start after Christmas.
But I do know one thing.
Uh-oh.
We got to get past the countdown to November 8th before we crank up the countdown to Christmas.
Is November 8th the election?
Yes.
Okay.
And everybody's having a running clock going now on all the news networks. Countdown to the election. The last I saw, what was it, 40-some days, 50-some days? I don't know.
I'll tell you what, I think the days after the election and prior to Obama leaving the White House are going to be the scariest days, because he's going to be untethered. And he's already shown us that he's willing to break the law and push the Constitution out of the way. So.
And he might not want to leave so willingly.
Yeah, who knows? But that's for another day at another time. So, you go to a church, probably. Do you know that that church is insured? Well, you assume that, right? You just assume that if you fell or someone got hurt at your church, or as Terry said earlier, if the building burned down, that there would be coverage. And that's not, I don't know if State Farm offers that or not. But I do know that Brotherhood Mutual does. And we've got 4 people in the studio, one who's a corporate mucky muck, and the other 3 who are in the local, that's a compliment, by the way. The other 3 who are in a local agency called American Church Group, Iowa, Nebraska. And I just thought it'd be fun and informative for us to learn how our churches are insured. And if you've got a question, if we can, I don't know, Frank got so many questions, we may not have time. But if you call in, I promise we'll get you on the air and you can ask a question about your church or insurance for your church or anything else. Now, I will tell you that Matt Parmalee, who is here with us, who is a strategist
in risk control.
He used to be Rick Warren's chauffeur. And so he probably could tell you, call him Hoke. And he could probably tell you some of the unbelievable secrets and stories about his purpose-driven life. So if you have a question about that, you can also... Is that all right? I didn't check with you first.
Sure. I'll see how I can answer him.
Did Rick make you wear a little, chauffeur cap?
He did not.
He did not?
There was a few times I picked him up from the airport, but...
Yeah.
That was a handful of times.
Handful, though?
Yeah.
And the rest of the time, you just drove him around and signed autographs?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, Frank.
Okay, I got a question, and I got to make a disclaimer. I was bad during the break because I was engaged these guys in a conversation that should have been for the air. But let me ask Matt and Ed. Now, risk management would kind of fall under your purview. So, Ed, I'll kind of ask the both of you because skateboard got mentioned. Okay, let's say you've got something on your church property that really looks inviting to the skateboarders. So there's potentially a twofold thing going on here. You might want to ban skateboarders from your property, or you might want to start a skateboarder outreach program. Now, under being a risk manager type person, would you come in and suggest there's certain things that a church should look at that are dangerous, that they should, when you're trying to sell them a policy, hey, this might need to be taken care of because that's going to invite problems? Would you do things like that? How would you handle that? And then you could address the part whether you want to make an outreach out of skateboarding or you want to shun it from your property.
Well, yeah, Frank, from a risk control standpoint, I mean, skateboarding can be fun, can be safe. So it all depends on how you want to do it. You know, at Saddleback Church, we actually built a skate park, and Brotherhood Mutual insured it. So we had, kids that came in had to sign waivers. We kept it as safe as we could,
Right.
But you can't keep yourself completely out of the woods. But putting the measures in place to be able to reduce that risk is the best thing you can do. You can't prevent every accident that happens. You can't prevent every lawsuit that comes along, but you can put things in place to reduce that risk. And that's what we do as risk management, as risk control with Brotherhood Mutual to help reduce that risk. We help our agents and provide them tools and different things to help with that.
Matt, why did you build a skateboard park?
Well, first of all, for ministry. We wanted to have those kids come in and be able to have a place to come and, skateboard in a safe environment. So, plus we actually also had a building, Saddleback Church had a building called the Refinery, which was a youth building. It was a building open to the public that they come in. We had food service out of there. Most churches want people to come on. They want visitors to come on. So we just created another way to be able to help have that opportunity.
So if my church wanted to build a skate park, would you encourage that as a ministry? Or would you say, all right, if you want to do that, here's your liabilities, and here's what we have to do to make sure that you are as safe and as sound financially as we possibly can?
Oh, absolutely. You want to make sure that I'm not going to discourage it, but you're not going to go out right away and say, hey, yeah, let's let every church out there create a skate park. But if you put the proper channels and proper things in place to help reduce that risk, it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, and I think there's a big spectrum all the way up to a Saddleback Church. We have a larger church in Nebraska, one of the largest churches in the state, and they have a skateboard park too. The thing with a larger church, oftentimes they have the resources that go with doing it right. Facilities, the right equipment, the right supervision, a lot of things that drive costs, but they're able to do it. The smaller or the mid-sized church, they're going to do those sort of things on a smaller scale. Maybe it's a weekend skateboard activity where, again, they can insure and can handle insuring in the sense of supervision. The children, they're there, so it's fun, but yet it's safe. So in ministry and our understanding ministry, we understand that youth and children, they want to have fun. And we're not doing our job if we're not helping kids have fun, but we also want them to be safe. And so there always has to be an adult in the room. The other thing that comes up with skateboards is uninvited skateboarders. And so a lot of churches have to decide, what are we going to do about just the neighborhood kids that want to come and skateboard on our sidewalks and our parking lot? Do we put up signs, no skateboarding allowed, or do we let them continue to do it? And it's always that tension between safety and having an open campus and open approach.
If you put up a sign, that's just going to, if I'm a skateboarder, I'm going to want to come on and skateboard.
Yeah.
Sometimes signs don't work. That's exactly right.
When our studio used to be in the downtown Skywalk, I used to walk a couple of blocks to come down, and I walked by a Lutheran church that had a stair steps, concrete stair steps, and then you've got the rails. Well, that's a prime thing for downtown kids to want to hop that skateboard and slide down those rails. And you've all seen the videos of people who don't make it, and they wipe out big time. So you would advise somebody, if you was going to insure that church, you would go in there and advise them type of people that, hey, this is kind of an invitation to a certain problem. You might want to make sure you carry a liability enough, because that's likely going to happen.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a place for kids to come. It's a safe place for kids to come skateboard. That's just not only the only thing with skateboarding, but there's many things that people come on churches to do.
Lots of ministries do different things to attract different demographics, different genders, different age groups, different qualitative kind of members. We're talking with Brotherhood Mutual and the American Church Group of Iowa and Nebraska about some of the things that are involved in insurance when it comes to your church. Matt Parmalee is the corporate guy. He's from Illinois?
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. Wahoo. You guys like basketball, don't you?
They do.
Oh, they do.
Well, I just moved here to the state from California, so I'm not a big basketball guy yet.
Oh, don't go there. It's not that big. Have you seen what's the movie?
Hoosiers.
Have you seen Hoosiers?
Long time ago.
Okay, it's not that big a deal. Gene Hackman was mediocre.
Yeah.
So and don't tell me where or who, but what's the worst idea you've ever seen at a church trying to attract some kind of new member or visitors?
Worst idea, having a chocolate slip and slide on concrete.
A chocolate
slip and slide on concrete with
chocolate, like in Hershey's chocolate?
Yeah, like Hershey's chocolate. Slip and slide on a concrete patio.
Why? That's what you said.
Because it's fun.
I see.
Well, that's what the people would tell me. It's fun. But I'm looking at it from a totally different angle.
Yeah, that's crazy. Why? Well, okay, never mind. But thank you for answering. That's great. Ed, you were talking about this large church in Nebraska. Can you share?
Yeah, sure. It's in Lincoln, Nebraska.
And the church is called?
Lincoln Berean.
35th and O.
Yep, sounds right.
Yeah, about that.
I don't know the address exactly, but it's on the south side of Lincoln.
Oh, okay. No. Yeah. I'm thinking of another Berean that's on about 40th.
No, this is a very large church. The plant is probably larger plant than our Lutheran Church of Hope here, but probably not as many in attendance. But yeah, very large church.
Yeah, Lutheran Church of Hope. We're not that big. We barely broke 40,000 at Easter this year. So we do the best we can. You know what it is? It's the cup holders.
Oh,
people love the cup holders.
Sure,
it's all about the cup holders. All right, now Terry, this is you are. Did you start this agency?
Actually, I was involved with American Church Group of Iowa. Yes, previously was started by a group called Church Insureds. There was maybe 30 accounts, 30, 40, 50 at the most accounts back in the early 2000s, and then we became an American Church Group of Iowa entity at that time, and the Lord has blessed us, and we put out the policies, the programs. The company supports us, and we now insure almost 1,300 churches and Christian ministries, like in denominational office. Yes.
All right. So, why are you a franchise of the American Church Group?
We are an independent agency.
Okay. Why? Why not be Terry Townsend and Company?
Well, American Church Group is a marketing arm of Brotherhood Mutual.
Oh, okay.
And actually, to start an insurance agency, it takes a lot of money up front. We are considered an independent agency, but Brotherhood Mutual helped front a lot of money in the beginning stages. Now that money's all been paid off, and now as part owner, myself and Ed and another group of people, we benefit from that.
Okay, so that makes sense. Now, you guys had a gathering today for church leaders from any church, and you had it over at Westchester, great church, over on Aurora. What was that about? Ed, can you kind of tell me what that was about?
Sure. We collaborated with an organization that brings together church administrators across denominational lines on a monthly basis. It's called the Network. It used to be called National Association of Christian Business Administrators, and it's a great organization that's across the country, a very robust chapter right here in Des Moines. And so we partnered with them.
Okay, good. And I want to talk about that event a little bit when we come back. Okay, it's about 35 minutes after the hour. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on The Truth. Yep, I said the truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
It's 3:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour on the 15th day of September. You know why I say that? If you're a new listener, you're probably wondering, why does he give me the date? I give you the date so you know it's a live show. Now, the problem with that is there is an hour that Chris and Ron pick every week that they feel is the best hour on radio for Maxworld. And that plays back from noon to 1 on Saturday. And, of course, I'm always giving the wrong date. So you know when the show's live and you know when it's not. Or you know when the calendar's broken and I got the wrong date up on the calendar. Okay, Bob Monster at the Cat in the Hat watching the chat, and the Service Legends Truth text line is not here today. Therefore, there is no Service Legends Truth text line. But I tell you what, with the weather changing, you ought to think about calling Service Legends and get them out there. Because here's what happens. The fall will lull you into this idea that your HVAC system is working fine. And then the first time we get a cold snap and the little yellow flowers outside don't get covered up and they die, you're going to turn on the heater and it's going to go thunk. And then you're going to call Service Legends and you'll be okay because they've got enough people that'll come out and make sure everything's okay. But be a little preemptive. Preemptive. That's a good word when we're talking about insurance. Preemptive. And get your HVAC system checked out.
Say that 3 times real fast.
Prevent. Never mind. All right, I've got 3 gentlemen and a fine young lady in the studio today from the American Church Group of Iowa, Nebraska, which represents Brotherhood Mutual. And there's a good chance your church has their insurance through these guys. And if they don't, and you're on vestry or council or whatever it's called in your church, you might just go to your business manager and say, hey, who do we have? And if it's not Brotherhood Mutual, just say, well, have you ever talked to somebody from Brotherhood Mutual? Yeah, I think they came in one time, but I don't remember why we didn't go with them. Well, let's take a look at them again, because I heard this radio program, and they're honest, they're straightforward guys. Most of you are You're a former pastor, right,
Right,
Ed?
yes.
And you're a former pastor.
Yes, sir.
And you
I was a pastor for 6 years.
Really? What denomination?
Saddleback Church.
Okay.
I was a director of operations and a pastor at the same time.
Okay. And Saddleback is non-denominational.
Correct.
Right? Okay. And then the young lady that's in the studio with us is Sarah Ostronsky.
Strensky.
Or either way.
That's why I have Frank.
That's why he has me.
Because of course, his English is broken as heck. But he can always get the word that I can't get right. I don't know how that is. So Sarah's here, and she is the ministry relief specialist.
Relations.
Oh, I didn't write it down. Relations specialist. Now, Ed, you are one of the agents there, and we were talking about large churches and insuring them and all the different kind of ministries they have. Talk to me about some of the ministries that you insure at some of the different churches that are a little unusual. We talked about skateboard park a little bit ago that Saddleback has, and some other churches, including Berean and Lincoln.
Sure.
What other ones that you get an opportunity to insure?
If I understand your question right, there's different genres of ministries that we insure. The qualifier is they have to be a Christian ministry for us to work with, or for Brotherhood Mutual to work with, because that's our niche. We only insure Christian churches and ministries. So everybody thinks in terms of the church first and foremost, and that's the bulk or the vanguard of what we help. But there's also ministries that are outside of the local church, a parachurch, though I really don't like that word so much, but we insure camps, Christian camps, daycares, and missions, and schools, and independent evangelistic type ministries. So whatever is happening in the body of Christ, we like to be involved in it.
What are the special needs in a church that has a daycare or a preschool or whatever you want to call it?
Right. There's more exposure when you have something like a preschool or daycare in your church. And so the insurance company has a way of crunching the numbers and saying, with this additional exposure, now we have children here 5 days a week, 4 hours a day. And so that gets calculated into how the insurance company shares that risk and the premium that they would charge for sharing that risk.
Well, a number of years ago, my particular denomination ran a secular daycare out of our facility, and it was a rather large daycare. It's no longer exists now, but you mentioned that whatever you're insuring needs to be kind of religious oriented. Would you insure a secular daycare in a Christian facility?
No, we wouldn't insure the daycare itself if it's a separate entity. A lot of churches have a daycare that's part of their entity, but if it's an outside group, then we would advise the church to make sure that outside group, in this case a daycare, has their own insurance, and there would be a way to factor in the fact that there is an outside group with their own insurance using the church's facility.
Well, wouldn't the church have to protect themselves ultimately? I mean, whatever goes on in that facility would have to be
Correct.
Ultimately the church would be ultimately liable for whatever went on in the facility.
That's right. And so in the underwriter's world, they're going to account for the fact that there's an outside group there using that facility, borrowing or leasing, loaning the facility to an outside group. And so they have a way to account for that exposure. But the church would be wise that they would have an outside group meeting day in, day out in their facility to make sure that organization is adequately insured.
One other quick question. We had a pastor in here yesterday, the day before, Philip Harnon. Can't remember the guy's last name, but he's... Harmon.
Pastor Philip Harmon.
He is... It's a church with 2 or 3 different denominations sharing the same church. How does the insurance work there?
Well, it's difficult to insure something that doesn't belong to you. It can happen through agreements and such, where agreements can be made where that can be dealt with legally. But normally, the insurance for the building would be carried by the entity that owns the building.
Okay.
And then they could share the cost, and could have an accounting system to share the cost with the other organizations that are in the facility.
All right, you talked about outside organizations. I'm a proud member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Been sober for 2,321 days, which is a little over 6 years. And I'm the liaison in Lutheran Church of Hope and our 5 campuses, and we have 13 meetings between all of our campuses. This is probably something I shouldn't be asking on the air, but it just came to me. Is Hope covered when an outside organization like that comes and meets in a facility every week,
Yes, they're covered. Anybody that comes on your facility, whether they are invited or they just step, like we mentioned earlier, the Pokemon example, somebody that's, we didn't invite them to come here, they're just on our facility. So anybody that steps into your building or on your premises, potentially there could be a liability or a medical situation that would arise that would go back to the church. And so when we insure a church, we ask about outside groups that use their facility, and that's accounted for.
Now, what about concerts? What about a church that, for whatever reason, is built big enough to have a concert of a Christian group, either a B band or an A band, B band 1 coming up or going down, and an A obviously being established?
Well, anything that is an activity of the church, again, that goes under the liability coverage for their activities, their events, and even, Mac, if it might be outside of their facility. Maybe they rent a park and they're sponsoring this concert in the park. So that's an activity of the church, and you want to make sure that your coverage extends beyond the 4 walls of the church, because ministry needs to go outside of the facility, or I think so, and including overseas and missions endeavors and the like. So again, sometimes it comes back to a contractual thing that a big named group will come in and they might have certain stipulations on the insurance, and it has to be looked at and reviewed to see who is responsible for the insurance or the property of that group.
All right, and we had a big outside event here a few weeks ago, and I would imagine that we were completely covered on that. So, and Ed's going, "Who you did what?"
Yeah.
I had no idea.
There's always something going on in larger churches, and I know the fireworks displays and things or displays that they do is.
All right, we're coming up on our last break. If you have any questions, 515-244-0077. Next hour, Brian Leach, Wild at Heart. It's coming up less than a week, live on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
All right. It's 10 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Brian Leach in as we talk again about Wild at Heart. If you haven't heard about Wild at Heart, we're having you and 179 other guys down in Indianola at Lake Akwabi. I should ask Frank. Akwabi. And we're gonna do a Thursday night, 5 o'clock till Sunday at noon. Wild at Heart boot camp for men. And if you don't know what that is, I'll tell you real quickly. It is the thing you need to do. Okay? And later on in the hour, we'll explain why. Because whether you know it or not, the accuser is going to try to take you out, sir. Oh, I know. You're a member of a church, and you tithe, and you're a corporate CEO, and you sit on some boards of some 501c3s, and you're happily married, and the kids are one. I mean, you've got the perfect life. And the accuser knows it. And in one moment, he'll take you out. You might not do anything to have it happen. But in the blink of an eye, as soon as you make another disciple, you're going to make the accuser so mad that he's going to come in and take away the thing that means the most to you. He's going to take away your family. He's going to take away your marriage. He's going to take away a business partner. There's going to be a question on integrity within your business. The accuser is looking to take you out. And if you're not spiritually equipped, you're done. That's it. If you think spiritual warfare is something goofy that only Frank would talk about and it isn't really real, I'll give Frank the microphone for, an hour. Because he knows spiritual warfare. He's been a victim of it. I am a victim of spiritual warfare. And I had no idea how to fight this guy named the accuser. No idea at all. But I do now because of John Eldridge and Wild at Heart. So if you've got a guy in your life, maybe it's your dad, maybe it's your grandpa, maybe it's your brother, maybe it's your son or your husband, send him to that group, please. For more information, wildatheartiowa.org. Wildatheartiowa.org. All right, I've got the folks in from the American Church Group from Iowa and Nebraska. Now, Ed, you said you've got 1,200 and some churches between Iowa and Nebraska insured. I just want you to state now, with your hand on the Bible, that Nebraska has the best football team in the world.
No, I don't agree.
I moved here in 1978, and I'm a pompous, arrogant Nebraska graduate. And I couldn't figure out what you guys were all nuts around here about this Iowa Hawkeyes and Iowa Cyclones. And these Iowa Hawkeye, man, they'd rah, 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 rah. And then I'd ask one simple question. So, how many national championships do you have?
Ouch. I do know somebody that fed the football team, the Nebraska Cornhuskers, for years. That was his job at the University of Nebraska. He said you guys could really put it away.
Oh, yeah. All right, good. We won't talk anymore about football until Thanksgiving. All right, although you're doing great this year. I think we're both undefeated, aren't we? So far, you guys 2, and you've played 2, and we've played 2? Yeah, all right. What, Terry, what?
Well, Iowa Hawkeyes are 2-0.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Cyclones are 0-2.
Well, it's,
And I think Nebraska's having a good year.
I don't know why anybody expects anything different out of ISU. They don't fund the program. No, seriously, they don't fund the program. If Iowa State had the money that the Hawkeyes have, they'd have a national championship team because the heart in Ames is a lot better than the heart in Iowa City. But they don't fund it. So, Frank?
I have a question for Terry. Early on in the show, you mentioned something that hits a nerve with me, and it's called necessary evils. And sadly, insurance is kind of one of those things in some respects. I mean, the Bible counsels Christian brothers not to sue one another, but we know that's not the case. We know we're going to get sued by secular sources, but then again, we're going to get sued by Christian sources too. So could you just speak to the fact that this is just a reality? You know, we can't put our head in the sand and expect that our fellow Christian brothers are going to treat us in an upright manner. This is just kind of a sad reality that this is the kind of stuff we have to deal with.
Yeah.
Even in church.
It is, and churches are responsible for their ministry, for their programs, for the condition of their buildings, and we do live in a very litigious society. That's just the name of the game. There are a lot of lawyers out there who will encourage people to take advantage of the system, and that happens in church life as well.
I'll give you a quick statistic that Newt Gingrich brought up one time is the number one thing that is graduated, or China graduates 600,000 engineers per year. We graduate 60,000 in the United States. The number one thing that we graduate through our colleges and universities is lawyers.
Yes, I can believe that.
They got to drum up some work, and the churches are now a target, right?
Yeah, everyone's a target, and a lot of the things that happen in the world tend to kind of come into the church. We just are human. I'm very thankful that we represent a company that has a very good legal department, and there are many Christian lawyers that are trying to do a good job and in our society. But you want to, there's claims that are made, claims for fire, for vandalism, for crime, for hail, for tornadoes, all of those, but there's also claims on the liability side. Unfortunately, although there aren't the number of liability claims, those claims typically are a lot more expensive to settle because you're not only trying to settle the claim for the damages that were done against the person, but you are paying for legal fees, and it's nothing to have $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 legal fee, and the company, provides legal representation for its insured, and pays for that as well.
Terry Townsend is the manager-owner of the American Church Group of Iowa, Nebraska. They have been my guests today. If you don't know who insures your church, ask. I mean, you have a right to know that as a member. Who insures your church? And if it's not Brotherhood Mutual, ask the decision maker, and it's probably not the pastor. How come? Why not? They are the best. Now, I asked you earlier, Matt, about one of the worst ministries you've ever seen, and you said putting chocolate on cement and then doing a slip and slide. What's one of the best? I mean, you were inside of one of the best churches in the world, and I know you guys have a tremendous amount.
Well, the best would be I would say Saddleback Church, and when we brought on Brotherhood Mutual as our insurance company, I was a customer for 6 years before I came to work for Brotherhood Mutual. In fact, that's why I'm sitting here today, because I believe in what we do as a company. But just the ministry-related coverage that they offer for us, for Saddleback Church, for even just all the churches. Right now, we insure 53,000 churches across the nation.
Wow.
So all these different extra coverages that we offer,
they're there.
Great. They're there.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here today. I appreciate it. I honor you for what you do. Like you, I'm in the business world too, and that's a hard line to straddle. And you guys seem to do it very well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Frank.
All right, coming up next hour, Wild at Heart. Brian Leach from Service Legends in the house, on the radio, and in your head. Remember what I always ask you. Today, go home and forgive somebody that you just can't forgive. Because God's going to forgive you the way you forgive them. I'll see you at church.